welcome to Jamie Unchained. If you're wanting to learn how to crochet, this is going to be where you're going to do it. So thanks for joining me, and I'm going to run through some of the super basics that you need to get started. You should be able to find everything you need on Amazon. I'll go through that in a second as well. I did pull up online a couple different crochet hook sets that you can pick up, and I'll show you what I have. You don't need a lot to get started, but this is how to do it from the very, very beginning. So to get started, you're going to need crochet hooks. Here is my set. It came in a bag. There's little holes. As you can see, I didn't keep everything quite in their exact spots, but no problem. You can buy a set like this on Amazon. You can go to your local craft store like a Michael's. I know Joann's has shut down recently, but you can find crochet hooks at most craft stores. If there's yarn there, even Walmart. Walmart will have needles. Or you can go on Amazon and find stuff on Amazon. This is actually the very first hook I've ever got. When my babysitter taught me how to crochet, this was the hook she gave me, and I still have it to this day. And as you can tell, it's pretty used well. This is a size H, US standard, I guess it would be called, hook. And it's a Boye, B-O-Y-E is the brand. I have a mix of brands in here. I do kind of prefer this brand over the others, but I've used the generic hooks just as much and they seem to be okay. So as a beginner, I don't think it's gonna make a difference if you get the name brand or not. And even if you do get the name brand hooks, there you can see, it's still not very expensive. Or the price difference is not much, because you can get a set of those. I think it was size E or D through K, I think was the size. Once you get into some of the bigger hooks, you might have to purchase those individually. But if you get a basic set of D through K or whatever it is, you'll have more than enough hooks to get you started. You do want a pair of scissors. I just use these little friskers. They are. I use these. I've had these for a while. They're super sharp. They stay nice and sharp, and they're pretty good for cutting like a lot of thick yarn bunched together like a pom-pom. So for future, if you're gonna make a pom-pom or different things, these are handy and they fit perfect in a little case. So we're just gonna search for crochet hooks, which I had already done. So we'll load this up here and I'll go down and show you a couple. So something like this is pretty similar to what I have, I believe. And as you can see, it's $6.58, and I have this set to deliver to St. Pete, Florida. So for those of you looking in that area, I know there's a few of you down there. There's a set that would be all the sizes you would need. You'll see these big handles on some of them. You don't need those. I mean, if you would prefer those, I mean, absolutely go get them. I've always just used the basic, I think they're aluminum metal hooks like you saw in my set, and I'm happy with those. If you want to search for, and I know they're in here somewhere, for the name brand Boye, it's B-O, let's look it up. B-O-Y-E, B-O-Y-E. And that should bring us. So there is the set I was talking about, Boye, size D through K. You'll notice on the crochet hooks too, let me get a bigger one here, that they usually have it imprinted on there. So like this is an N or a 9, yep, 9 millimeter. And then there's the name on that side. But most hooks will have the letter size and also the millimeter size of the hook. Like my generic ones, let's see if we can see this one. We can see this one, 6.5 millimeter. So this one doesn't actually have the letter size on there, which as a beginner could be somewhat confusing for sizes. That's kind of why I do like the boy ones, because they do put the letter size on there. Most patterns though, like this one doesn't even have the millimeter on it. Most patterns will have either the letter size or the millimeter size. Sometimes they should have both. So like I said, it shouldn't matter which crochet hook set you pick up, because they should have it listed on there. But your basic, what is that one? 8 hooks there. That's more than enough there to get started. Like I said, I started with one single crochet hook that I've had, and I did most of my projects with this thing for years and years and years until I really kind of got bigger into crocheting. And then I ended up getting the set and collecting more hooks, bigger hooks, and the bigger hooks you'll use with your thicker yarn, the smaller hooks you'll use with your thinner yarn. And once you start getting creative with things and learning how the thickness or the weight of the yarn works, you can start experimenting with maybe a bigger hook and thinner yarn, and you'll get a looser crochet, you'll get a different look. So it just depends on what you want to do. So you'll also want to get a yarn needle. You can see the eye on here. It's a nice big opening. So you'll want one of those. You can get sets of big eye like yarn needles to sew in the ends of your projects. Those you can also find online or at your local store. I find it's easier maybe to go get them in person if possible, because you can actually see how big the eye is, and it could be a bit confusing sometimes when you're online and you can't see what you're getting exactly. Because I just recently bought they said it had a big eye needles, and they were not. You'll probably also want just a regular sewing needle. That's a little one. I can still get a small piece of yarn through there. Like I was able to get this yellow one through there, and that's a decent thickness. But this one that I got has kind of a dull tip, and I'm not a fan of that for weaving in the ends. I'd like a pointier tip that'll kind of go through the yarn a little more. So just depends on what you like. You'll find your style. But those are my tips. And of course, you're going to want to get a ball of yarn. So I've already made a top with that one. As you can see here, I'm working on this cute little, check this out, cute little bathing suit top here. So we're working on that. I have a couple more bits to do on that. But if you follow me, you'll be making something like this in a few weeks, if not sooner. I will show you exactly what to do that, how to get your measurements down, or at least how I do it, and you'll be able to make all kinds of things. So a ball of yarn to start, I would suggest a light color. So like this purple, the yellow is a good color. Even a color like this, a mauve kind of color, that one's nice. Just get one skein for now. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. whatever you like, but I would pick a light color to start. You're gonna be able to see the stitches easier, and for beginning, you're gonna want to be able to see your stitches. So you could clearly see the stitches on this light color here, and on black and darker colors, the stitches just kind of hide a bit more on you. So the lighter colors are gonna be good for beginners to get started. So today I suggest getting your hooks, whether you get a set or a single. If you get a single, I would say start with an H. An H is definitely good. HI, any store should have either one of those. So get your H hook. You probably already have a pair of scissors at home, so you don't even need to go out and get your scissors. But if you want to, go for it. Grab a great pair. These are handy for a lot of other things as well. So I don't use them just for crochet. I use them around the house for different bits too. So yeah, you want your hook, you want your scissors, and you want to get some needles. I don't know where my needles went, but you have to get some, there they are. Get some needles so you can sew in your ends after you make your project, and a ball yarn. And like I said, pick a light colored yarn of some sort, whatever color you like. One skein will be more than enough for you to learn, and you can go out and get plenty of other colors, which is one of the bad habits that comes along with crochet, is collecting a ton of yarn. So once you have all your stuff, we'll get back together, we'll make another video, and we'll get you started on crocheting. Like, you can buy your yarn online. I have seen that. I prefer doing it in store, at least the first time, because you can see and feel the texture of the yarn. You can see the thickness, and you can feel it. So you'll know kind of what you're getting and if you really like it. Because a lot of times when you order things online, you don't know the exact type or stretchiness or texture that the yarn might have. It can be a bit misleading, and also the colors aren't always as they appear on the screen. So definitely make a trip to the store for the yarn. And like I said, the first skein you're gonna get, the color, make it a light color, and you'll eventually be able to work with all the colors, but for a beginner, it is definitely good to have a light color. Okay, so you should be able to find everything that I mentioned today. Like I said, at your local craft store, you can get it on Amazon. If you do the local craft store, like a Michael's, even Hobby Lobby, I believe they do have apps, and on the apps, they'll do a coupon usually for 40% off one item. I always like to use that, and because you're not buying a lot, you could, even if a friend goes in, they can get one item, you can get the other item, and it's a big savings. Because yarn can be quite pricey depending on where you get it. Like I said, Walmart also will have all the supplies you need. Most Walmarts that I've been to, which I haven't been in a long time now, but they do carry yarn and the needles, the products that you'll need to get started. So a hook, scissors, yarn, and some big eye needles to sew in your ends, and you'll be set. So tune back in once you have all your supplies. The next video that we're gonna do will be teaching you how to make a slip knot and then chain, which is where Jamie Unchained comes from, because it is a crochet term and it sounds a little edgy. So I figured that would be a perfect name for my channel. Let's get crocheting, guys. Don't forget to subscribe so you can follow along and you don't miss any of the videos.